Hi everyone, this is Active Arrow again. This is going to be my second video on my Japanese language learning methods that I'm using to acquire Japanese and what's worked well for me. First video was on the general linguistic, well, I want to say philosophy or theory that I'm following. This is the input method. The second one is an important tool, the most important tool that I use for this method. So in the first video I described that you want to get lots of input. You want to work on pretty much nothing but comprehension at the beginning. And the way to systematically do this, which as I was saying earlier is one of the hardest things when you first start out in Japanese. You want a system, you want something you can work towards. You're not just randomly grabbing a book here and there. And this method is called, or this tool is called spaced repetition, or spaced repetition system, SRS. You'll see it abbreviated. And what this concept is based on the idea that the more or the better you know something, the less you need to see it. And that sounds like common sense, but this is opposed to the traditional method of constant repetition of flashcards, like continuous repetition, like flashcard repetition style. We just get something, we just keep going over it, over and over it, go over it 100 times, or you get a kanji, and you write it, until your hand falls off because you think writing it enough, will eventually, put it into your memory. What a spaced repetition is for is builds efficiency, because doing that, what I was talking about earlier or just a second ago, that's actually really bad. It's really wasteful. It's really inefficient. So what this system does, it's actually there's free computer programs for it. It allows you to put in a piece of information. You can do it like kind of a question answer format card or a digital card, and as you get that information right, let's say how I use it, let's say you put a sentence in Japanese, a basic sentence, and you want to see if you can read it. That's your goal, and the answer is the reading in kana, and if you get it right, you've passed the card. Well, how the system works is it will space out that card based on memory algorithms. It will basically timestamp it. So for instance, let's say I put in a basic sentence, or even like a kanji, just kanji for dog, and I get that right. It will space that card out for approximately, let's say the first time for 3 days, okay, from the next time I see it. Then if I get it right from there, 3 days later, it might space it out for an entire week. And then if I get it right a week from now, it might space it out for 2.5 to 3 weeks, then a couple months, then a year. So as you can see, what this does is it allows you to handle massive amounts of information in a systematic manner. You can put in tons of stuff because you don't have to review all of your material every day, and it keeps track of what material you do need to be reviewing. So how it works is, let's say you put in 20 new pieces of information every day, or 20 kanji, or 20 sentences that you want to learn, be able to read. Well, after let's say 100 days, that'd be 2,000 pieces of information to review. If you're doing a traditional method, you'd be trying to sort through 2,000 pieces of information, trying to decide which one do you really know, which one do I need to put aside, when do I need to review the ones I need to put aside, that I put aside. And that's just tons of information. I mean, that's just impossible to handle, especially if you're trying to review it all the time. You just couldn't do it. You just would not have the time. It'd literally be impossible to do. So what this does is it allows you to put in lots of information like that, but at 20 a day, an average pass rate, you might only have 150 to 200, maybe 250 reviews every day eventually. Yet you've actually got, every 100 days, every 3 months or so, you're adding 2,000 facts or vocabulary words, or whatever aspect of Japanese, or anything you want to learn. It doesn't have to be language learning. It can be any type of fact. So this allows you to cover lots of material efficiently, and it puts it into your long-term memory. When these things get spaced out, they can only get spaced out if you answer them correctly. So by nature of that, if they're on a long spacing, you remember this for long term. I've got cards, probably, well over 1,000 something kanji that are probably in the 6+ month mark, kanji that I'm able to remember after 6 or so months. And The idea, like I said earlier, I think I touched on this, is they're based on the actual studied memory algorithms, the rate at which you learn something. And if you miss something, I should have said this earlier as well, it'll space it back down. Like if, one had been spaced out to 3 months, a card, and I miss it, it'll pull it back down. It says, well, you missed this, you obviously need to see it in a shorter interval before we space it back out again. So it's a great system. You can use it for anything. It's just awesome. And one of the popular ones I use is called Anki, A-N-K-I. It's a Japanese word for memorize. Or Anki suru would be to memorize, actually. So you can check that out. I'll put a link over here. It's an awesome program. It actually will, if you type in or copy and paste in a Japanese sentence, full kanji, it would actually create a field for just the kana automatically for you for the reading. So if you're trying to read without furigana, you can do that, and then it will pop up the answer. It will actually just have full kana sentence. So you can check like that. You can add sound files and audio, pictures. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. It gives you stats and graphs, but it's just awesome. So, so now you have this SRS system, spaced repetition. So now you just start adding your information, the information that you want. And I'm going to start covering, my next video, I guess, will be the exact system, or what I'm actually inputting into my SRS, how I started that, and the order that I'm approaching, actually the Japanese that I'm putting in there. So that will be my next video. Any comments, suggestions, other people that use Anki or other SRSs, if you'd like to give a review on them, I might actually do a review on Anki later. Okay, that's going to be it for now. Thanks.